Disclaimer. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only and it's 100% opinion-based content. Nothing being said about any award or player should be taken as facts. For all medical topics, you should always speak to a licensed medical professional at all times before considering any opinion. Viewers and listeners' discretion is advised.
Welcome to the Esports Lounge Podcast. This podcast is a long-form conversation hosted by DrVtach with the top guests in the world of esports, bringing you everyone from owners, pros, semi-pros, former pros, and content creators of many games. So let's give it up for the one and only DrVtach. DrVtach.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Esports Lounge Podcast. Well, today we got a special guest, the one and only, one of the top casters in the world, AceOfPyrite. How you doing?
I'm good. You're far too kind to me. What an introduction, eh? That's very kind of you.
It's a small one. So, how's life, man? How's everything with you?
Yeah, life's good, thank you very much. We're enjoying a little bit of summer. I've had a bit of time off over the break, a couple of holidays with the family and stuff. So, yeah, it's been nice to kind of recharge the batteries. And then I did the first play day of EUL last night. So, back into competitive Siege is, just a really exciting time as well. So, yeah, things are good.
Oh, that's phenomenal. I first known about you on your stream.
Okay, yeah. I've been. A lot of people don't know that I stream. You see, I'm sort of quiet about it. I put a tweet out, but that's about it. But I've been streaming on and off for a couple of years. It's part of where we got started, really. We did a bit. Me and XR together did a bit of streaming, kind of back in the day. And yeah, it's just something I've carried on. I just like sitting and chatting with people. It's good.
Yeah, that's pretty fun. Now, you went through a moment in stage, because I remember that you were streaming and I always kept on, following you. I kept on every single time I check out if you're online, and sometimes you weren't, and sometimes you were, but you were, you had some issues, right? Medical issues, you like something with your eyes or something?
Yeah, so back in, it was August 2022, just after the Berlin Major, actually. I stayed on in Berlin for a couple of days, because my wife had come out to see the show the last couple of days, and we'd normally, from an event, the finals on the Sunday, we fly home on the Monday. It's like, we're kind of straight back out of there. But we stayed on for, I think it was till maybe the Wednesday. I think we flew back on the Wednesday. And then on the Friday of that week, I actually suffered a stroke. I'd gone up to Edinburgh to arrange a visa, funnily enough, for working in Paris, in France. So I'd gone up to Edinburgh that was like the closest place that I could go to submit the documentation and stuff. So I'd gone up there, I had a bit of a sort of, it's kind of difficult to describe, but my vision went a bit funny. I couldn't see on one side. Part of my vision had sort of turned into a blind spot, and a little bit of like an aura and kind of shimmering in and out of focus, a little bit like looking through frosted glass or something, if you will. And it had happened a few times before over the years, so I didn't think too much of it. It was a bit of a stressful meeting. They were, it was kind of like, oh, we need this thing, and I was like, oh, I'm not sure if I've got that. And it was, there was just usual sort of, official paperwork stress. So it was. I just sort of put it down to that. I thought, it's all just get a bit stressed, so I have to, maybe it's a bit of a migraine or something. But no, it turned out that it was a stroke, and my vision never recovered from that. So on my left side now, I've lost probably about 20% of my vision on that side, like the upper left corner of my vision, if you will. So yeah, a lot of knock-on effects. Lost my driving license. I've just got that back in May. So I was without a driving license for like 18 months, because you have to, at least in the UK, I had to go through a process of proving that it wasn't like a degenerative condition.
Correct.
It wasn't going to get any worse. It wasn't going to happen again. So I had to wait 12 months to prove that my vision was stable, and then I was allowed to go through assessments to make sure I was like safe to drive, that I was accounting for that missing vision and stuff. But that's all resolved now. But that was what happened. It was caused by a problem with my heart. which is still ongoing at the minute, unfortunately. But
I
hopefully we'll have an
remember,
end to that.
I remember you were asking me some questions about your heart because I work in the cardiology unit basically, and I look at heart rhythms. Okay, they do the EKGs and everything, and I analyze it and I look at it, and then I'll tell the cardiologist what that patient was doing during the night, and because I work overnight, so. And I'll just tell them, hey, this patient's going through this, had this episode several times. With your case, that's it's kind of rare. I mean, it's you don't see, because I mean, you look very well fit. I can understand if like you were super overweight, like overweight like me. So I can understand, but to go to a heart attack like that, it's a stroke. You said it's kind of like,
yeah,
could it be?
I mean, the doctors that I saw at the time afterwards said pretty much the same. I sat down and had a discussion with them, and it was very much like, look, you don't smoke, you don't drink any significant
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you
you're
smoke or
not
drink.
overweight. You've got no like risk markers for something like a stroke, especially not at, I was 37 at the time. Not at this age. Like, we need to figure this out. So the first thing they did was scan my heart, and I think so I've got a hole in my heart between two of the chambers. And basically, it's not actually, the hole in the heart isn't that uncommon. I think about 20% of adults have got similar.
Yeah.
It just never causes an issue. You never realise unless it causes an issue. But the reason that it can cause an issue is because used blood, for anybody not aware, used blood comes into your heart. It's been around your body, so there's no oxygen in it anymore. It picks up little clots and little bits of, rubbish from around your body. And normally that's then just passed through your lungs. Your lungs has, little things in that like filter the blood, put oxygen back into it, take out those little clots. It comes back into your heart nice and clean, full of oxygen, and then gets sent around your body. The problem is when you've got a hole between those two chambers, it's between the initial in chamber and the final out chamber. So you sort of used blood without oxygen and with clots and everything else gets passed across into the out chamber and then just gets sent straight out around your body. And the problem is the first place that goes is to your brain. So in my case, a blood clot just got sent straight to my brain, which is or it's at least one cause of stroke. There's two causes of strokes. Mine was what's called an ischemic stroke, which is where a clot reaches your brain and it just gets, part of your brain gets starved of oxygen until the clot is cleared. So yeah, part of my brain died, and that's what then causes the impact on the vision. I mean, in the grand scale of, the grand scheme of things, I was quite fortunate really in terms of the potential outcome for strokes. So I do count myself quite lucky that it didn't affect my speech, for example.
Correct. I was going to tell you,
a big deal for my job, So
yes.
I've been, I've met other stroke survivors who have lost the ability to read. They've the cognitive function's been affected, like all sorts of things. So I was quite fortunate in those terms.
Yeah, because one side of their body is basically paralyzed. It's like they can't move their arm, one of their arms. It just like it just goes downhill. But you look like phenomenal.
I'll keep trying to look phenomenal. I'll do my best. I had a surgery to close the hole.
Okay.
I had a device put inside my heart, so I've got a 3 centimeter metal disc inside my heart.
I was going to tell you about that if they did a surgery to cover it.
But as of last, I have to have a scan every 6 months to make sure it's closed, and it hasn't as of yet. So we'll see what it means next year. It's the final scan, because they give it 2 years, so the final scan will be in January coming up, and then we'll go from there. So if it's not closed up, my surgeon will have a discussion, and it'll, I imagine, probably be more surgery, but we'll see when we get there. But other than that, I'm great.
Amen. Good for you, man. Good for you. I mean, thank you for sharing that with us.
No, I think it's no problem at all. I'm always happy. You'll know from being in the stream, I get quite a lot of questions because I have like a pink dotted outline on my screen from what I can't see when I'm looking at
because a lot of people would ask. I remember I saw, what's that purple lines? Why does he have that there for? Now, did that just help you like see better?
No, it's for everybody
things?
watching. It's just for everybody watching because I think it just gives a good, because obviously if all you're seeing is a Siege screen, if all you're seeing is me playing Siege, you've no idea potentially how my vision affects me or where, it could just be 3 pixels in the top left corner that I can't see. As it is, it's not that. It's like 30% of my screen. But yeah, it just gives. I think it's interesting for people. That's the feedback I've had. It's kind of fascinating to look and think. Wow, we can't see any of that and to understand that. But it just also helps add context sometimes, because sometimes I'll completely miss a drone, or I might just not react to somebody on that side of the screen, and I think it just gives people an idea as to, not that this guy sucks, but it's because it's in that area he can't see it. So yeah, because something like, it's kind of strange. Something like video games have been affected quite a bit by that, because obviously you're very centrally focused, especially on something like Siege. You're really focusing on your crosshair in the center of your screen, so that blind spot's present like on my screen a lot of the time. And obviously people ask things like, well, how do you manage to drive if you can? But when you're doing something like real world like that, there's a lot more scanning goes on. And, I have to do that in Siege as well, which is basically looking out towards the area that I can't see. But yeah, in sort of real life situations like driving, like, maneuvering through the world, walking or anything else, it's difficult to explain the difference. It's just a much more natural. You're a lot less sort of centrally focused, and it's easier to be more aware of everything around you and to be scanning and checking that area all the time. Whereas when you're on a video game and you're relying on like split-second reflexes, you become pretty hyper fixated on like a crosshair or similar. Especially after 30 years of playing games where I'm focusing on the center of the screen. So yeah, it's given us some funny moments on stream, if nothing else. We've had some good ones. But yeah, that's how a lot of people become familiar with my lack of vision and what's happened. But I'm always more than happy to talk about it, to answer questions, anything else, because I think it's super important, because we're often taught about the acronym that I know is used in the UK and I think is largely adopted internationally, is FAST, face, arms, speech, for, if those things are affected, then it's time to call an ambulance. But it doesn't mention your vision, it doesn't mention your balance, and these are, 2 things that can be really important indicators of a stroke. For me, like I said, it's the impact on my vision is something that had happened a couple of times over the years, over the period of 12 or 15 years. I remember it happening probably every 2 years or so. Maybe I'd have this bit of an episode where I was like, oh, my vision's gone weird again, and it'd clear in a couple of hours. And they were probably TIAs, they were probably mini strokes at the time, and had that been detected, had I been aware that this is what this could be and pushed for that scan, pushed for that treatment, pushed for, it could have been potentially avoided. So yeah, I'm always more than happy to answer questions, to explain how and why things work, and hopefully somewhere down the line somebody maybe listening to your podcast or anywhere that I've spoken about it might just, hopefully it never happens to any of them, but if they do sit there one day and the vision goes a bit funny, maybe they think, because you've got about 4 or 5 hours to get treatment for a stroke, it's really time critical. Really, really time critical. So, if that does happen, hopefully it's maybe in the back of their brain somewhere, and they think, oh God, I heard that ages ago, maybe I should get this checked out. And, absolutely, yeah, you definitely should get it checked out.
That is so true. 'Cause I tell everybody, if you feel something funny or whatever, seek a medical attention immediately.
Get it checked.
Get it checked. Get it
as quick
seeked.
As you can.
Yeah,
this is it. And I'm sure, you're better off having it checked and being told 5 times, no, it's nothing, it's fine.
I rather hear that better than we got to take you to the ER, or we got to take you to the operating room.
At least then, the one time, if it is something, it gets treated straight away.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You get it fixed immediately.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's kind of crazy. I'm so happy you're doing good because I missed you, man. I always watched you. You always bring good vibes. It's a really fun atmosphere in your channel. And then all of a sudden, it's like, okay, it's been like a month. I haven't seen what's going on here.
Yeah, a little bit.
I
had a lot of frustration to begin with because I just, in honesty, wasn't sure I was going to be able to play games again, and it was quite a big impact, quite a big blow at the time. Obviously, somebody like myself who works in video games, it's I've been around them for 30, 35 years, all the way back to Spectrums, which, people listening, a lot of them probably won't even have heard of a Spectrum, let alone have played on one. One of the original sort of home computers that you could play games on back in the late 1980s. And so... yeah, to feel like I'd potentially had something like that removed from me was a really big thing at the time. And so streaming really did go on a back burner because it was kind of like just getting back to, can I actually do this anymore, as in play games? Can I, because I was playing at the time, before it happened, I was playing one of the Star Wars games, Jedi, I can't remember the PS5 one, not the newest one, I can't remember. I think it's Fallen Order. But I was playing through that, and I remember switching it on again. I have a projector set up in my room that my PS5 runs through, and I was in bed because I had a stroke, so I was kind of, a couple of days in, I thought, I wonder how it is, and it was probably a bad decision, really, because my projector's much more difficult for me to use. I'm used to it now and it's fine, but at the time it was very much I put it on and it was just I can't do this, I'm missing too much of the screen, I kept dying, it was I can't do it. And it was a really big blow at the time, and fortunately I gave it a little bit more time and then came back to games on PC, and I certainly do find them easier when I'm using my monitor on my PC. So yeah, it was it led to naturally a break from streaming, because it was kind of like, it took me a good time to get to a point where I was comfortable actually playing games again, let alone to then think, actually maybe streaming's still an option, and maybe actually I could incorporate this a little bit and I could show the bit that I can't see, and all the rest of it. So yeah, it was it did lead to a bit of a break, but my streaming schedule's never been the most regular, to be fair, as you will know.
That is true.
My life's a little bit
Thank God for those little notifications.
With the young family and everything else, life gets a bit chaotic sometimes, so it's kind of hit and miss. But I usually try to, 3 or 4 times a week, I'll try and get something going during the day. But it was certainly a longer break than normal. Yeah. Now, when you're playing, how was the reaction time? Is it still the same, or that's not really affected unless unless somebody stood in the area that I can't see, because obviously then I'll just don't. Correct. The only difference to reaction time is sometimes I just don't react at all because I haven't seen it. Yeah, because you don't see it. Yeah, but everything else hasn't really been affected, to be honest. I still play up to the similar level, and depending the group that I'm playing with, I'll be up towards sort of Emerald Diamond area on ranked, and so it hasn't really affected me too much. Not as much as I thought it might. How do your wife handle the situation? Was she like really strong? I mean, when I went through surgery, my wife just like all of a sudden, this is the strongest woman I ever met in my life. While we were driving, getting ready for my surgery, all of a sudden I just see her just broke down, started crying and everything. I'm like, think okay, hon? She's like, yeah, I'm okay. And I was like, no, you're not. Something happens, you know what I'm gonna do, it's like all this stuff. And then to be really honest, right on the bed, I was like, there's nothing more important now than my family. It's a lot of things just go through your mind. What's important? It definitely puts things into a sharp perspective. That much is for sure. Vicky's been great throughout, really. She, I know she's had her moments, but I think, she's more often than not, probably, you know, had them with other people rather than with me. She's chosen to, you know, maybe with her mum or with a, you know, best friend, or, you know, she's been like that. She doesn't really show the worry too much with me. She kind of just stays positive, and she's like, no, it'll be fine. And yeah, she's been good. She's been very tolerant on the whole. She's, you know, it's been an adjustment for her to get used to as well, especially, you know, with the things like losing my license for that period of time. She was, you know, having to drive me around and be tolerant of things like that. And so yeah, she's been great. She's been really, really good, as is my daughter. You know, they've both been considerate to a point, and then I think that's worn off now, and it's like, right, Dad, you can't see, we get it, like, shut up, get on with it. So,
she's very strong.
I don't get much sympathy anymore. No.
Yeah,
that's worn off.
You don't get pampered no more.
No, that's long gone.
That's long gone. Like, dang it, I should have just kept on, you know, oh honey, I need you to take me.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, you guys have kids or not yet?
Yeah, we've got one daughter.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's 9 years old.
Okay.
So
jeez.
We'd call it primary school, like primary education in the UK, I think. I'm not sure what it's called.
9 years old and she thinks she's 18?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the attitude's creeping in.
Or 22 that thinks an adult.
She's very good though. She's just getting into gaming herself, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've set a Minecraft server up. I had I replaced my PC last year, so I had my old one still sort of sat there. It's with working from, you know, doing the casting remote and stuff. It's always handy to have a backup just in case.
Yeah.
So I just kind of left it where it was and you know, switched over to the new one, and I thought, oh, you know, I could put this to some use. So I've set it up as a server for us, and we're you know, we've been playing Minecraft together. She's been using my laptop, and we've been you know, playing on there, and it's she's played other stuff. She likes Pokemon and Animal Crossing and a few other bits on a Switch, but it's the first one that I feel has like really grabbed hold of her. Like, you know, she's like getting up in the morning, and we've got a couple of, she's just been on sort of school holidays, and you know, she'll get up in the morning, we've got a couple of hours spare with nothing to do, and it's like, oh Dad, can we play Minecraft for a bit? Or we've had those sort of, you know, 11 o'clock midnight, you know, staying up late playing Minecraft because she's, you know, not at school the next day. And I remember it was my uncle when I was growing up. I played a lot. He was sort of the one who got me into video games, and it, you know, much the same. It was like I'd go around to his house, and it was like really cool because I could stay up till midnight playing games and like play late and things like that. So yeah, very much. I feel like she's had that experience over the last month or so. You know, that's something that I was, you know, definitely fond memories for me looking back. So yeah, it's been kind of cool. But yeah, she's good. She's got lots of other interests as well, and yeah, she's a good one. She's no trouble.
That's amazing. My 12-year-old, same way. He started off on Minecraft, Roblox, and you know, we're kind of strict. He wanted an Xbox and PlayStation, but we were like, no, let's get you on with a Nintendo Switch, because their platform is a little bit more stricter, and
yeah,
when
it's
it
a
comes
good starting
to
point with like, online safety and things as well.
Online safety.
I'd say exactly. We did exactly the same. Yeah.
So we made sure, like, you know, he cannot be talking to anybody and stuff like that, because they have it pretty strict. They have it really good for kids. So he just got really into it, and then went from Minecraft. He played a little bit of Roblox on the PC, and then he got out of the phase of Roblox, went to playing Fortnite and you know, all this stuff. Yeah. I mean, he's 12 years old, so now he's like more into Fortnite than anything, and he'll play some of that, and he just likes those skins packages that they come out, Spider-Man and all the Avengers and stuff. I mean, you know, it is, you know how it is. The more they grow, the more games they want, you know, and more mature games. And so I got to be kind of like tough on him and watch out what he plays.
Yeah.
You know, so that's kind of neat. That's kind of neat. You see your kids, you know, getting into what you like, and you're seeing your daughter pretty soon. Imagine she says, "Dad, I want to stream now."
Well, yeah, it might go down that road. It's one of the, like you say, it's one of those things. It's like gaming's been so central to my life, and so, you know, there's so many of my memories through my life are punctuated by what I was playing at the time, and experiences that I've had with friends I've met online, or whatever it might be. It's like, if she never picked up a game, absolutely fine, of course, whatever she's interested in, whatever she's into. But seeing her, sort of go down that path a little bit, and thinking how important it's been to me, and how much fun I've had with it and stuff, like you say, it's just that shared passion, and it's nice to be able to see them partaking in that, but also to be able to share it with them as well. And like, because when I was, growing up through that, it wasn't really something that my parents did that much. Like I said, my uncle played a lot. So he was kind of the driving force. But yeah, for me to be able to, it's just such a good way, probably find it yourself as well. It's just such a good way to spend time with them, where they just engage with you on a, like, it's more of a, like, a friendly level, rather than, I'm talking to my dad about something. I think it's just a really good way to, build a positive, relationship, a positive space to just actually have a chat about other stuff as well. And, it's really good.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So how did it all started for you to the point that you got into casting? I mean, you started as a streamer, or how did this all begin?
No. I started with very little experience, to be honest.
Really?
So yeah. So AceOfPyrite, one of the other casters, as you'll know, Ollie is a good friend of mine outside of Siege and casting. We've been friends for years.
Who's this?
AceOfPyrite, one of the
other,
okay. Yeah, he's one of the other casters from the UK. You'll say he's been at SI a few times, and also he was at the Manchester Major and all sorts of stuff. So we were actually playing Call of Duty at the time. Like I say, we were just friends outside of gaming or anything else. We were just real life friends. So he switched across to PlayStation. We'd been playing Call of Duty. I think it was Infinite Warfare at the time, and we just weren't enjoying it that much. But he'd introduced me to Search and Destroy as a game mode, and I'd never really watched any esports. I'd just been like your typical casual sort of console gamer. I wasn't, wildly fantastic on Call of Duty or anything. We played for the fun. And he says, just play a bit of Search and Destroy. I think you'll enjoy it. I think you've got like the sort of the mindset, the thought process for it. I think you'll enjoy it. So we played a little bit of that, but I think that particular Call of Duty wasn't fantastic. But at the same time, we were watching Get Flanked videos, because he was making content for Search and Destroy on Call of Duty. So we'd sort of found him and been watching his videos. And he basically came to the same conclusion. Look, this Call of Duty is not great. Moved across to Siege. So that's where, we first saw Siege. And, decided to pick it up. It was Velvet Shell, Year 2, Season 1. So, January 2018, I think. Just picked that up and started playing it on PlayStation as any mates would, really. Just, getting used to the game, sort of diving in. Fell in love with it immediately. It was one of them, like, both texting through the day about it, and then like rushing home from work, like, right, we're on all evening. And it was just down to learning maps. So I started making videos for myself to learn the map, where I'd just walk around. It was Old House at the time, was the first one I did. And I'd literally just walk around it, and I just made this video on my PlayStation and just spoke over the top of it, like, with the call-outs. So just, right, pool room, bedroom, whatever. So that, because that was just, repetition's a good way for me to learn something like a map layout. And then I thought, maybe there's a market for it on YouTube. Maybe we could, I'd never done it. I'd never edited a video. I'd never done anything like that. So we started a YouTube channel together. I spoke to Ollie about it, and he was keen. I was like, well, let's start with the map layouts, and then we can, move on to other strategy, other tactical stuff, whatever. So we did a YouTube channel called Enough is Enough, and through that, got to know Get Flanked a bit better, and all sorts of other stuff. And it was actually in his Discord, there was like a friendly tournament running, but because of our YouTube channel, people were like, maybe you should give casting a go, like, you obviously know the game a lot and everything else. So we did.
For Call of Duty, right?
No, this is on Siege at this point.
On Siege, okay.
Yeah, this is on Siege. So
okay.
we casted this friendly tournament, this friendly game, to the point where literally we didn't record it live because we didn't know how to. We just recorded the gameplay, recorded our audio at the same time, and then had to edit the two together and everything else. We didn't stream it, didn't know how to, all sorts of work to be done. But we got some good feedback from it. The people who played in the game were like, "Oh, that was really fun. Like, we enjoyed your commentary." So we just ended up getting into like community leagues from there. We ended up with an opportunity. The big one was CCS, probably. I don't know if people remember CCS or not, but around that time, sort of 2018, 2019, they were running community leagues, and they just started up in Europe. So we got taken on to do the European League for CCS, and that was a huge opportunity. Rob from CCS, I'm still friends with Rob now, and they really pushed us to improve ourselves, but also any given opportunity to recommend us for other things and everything else they did, and eventually we got taken on doing the UK and Ireland Premiership, it was called at the time. And then just kind of it took off from there. That was December 2018, that will have been. So we went and did the LAN final. We went and did a week each on the league, and he said, yeah, come and do the LAN final. I think there was a little bit of a demo, was had been the voice of UK Prem for a good while, but there was a bit of a shortage of siege casters around that time. So we got in, did the LAN final, which was like mind-blowing to me. Like, I'm being paid to be here, I've been put up in a hotel, all this is just from talking about Siege. And it just really snowballed from there over the next year. I had a lot more direct involvement with Ubisoft and got opportunities on things like Challenger League at the time, and then, UB Forward, which was a show that they did for a while, where it'd go around to maybe like your Comic-Cons and it attached to other video game shows and stuff like that, in a country, and they'd show new stuff that was coming up and things like that. So it did all sorts of little bits like that, and it just went from there. The big opportunity then was December 2019. We got asked to do I got asked to cover OGA Pit, which was a tournament it was a LAN tournament out in Croatia, where a number of the T1 teams were playing. Team Liquid ended up winning it. They really like the Team Liquid with Sexy Cake. It was Sexy Cake, Nesk, Palu, PSK, and Moringa. It was like the sort of original lineup, if you will, or the one that everybody watched and really wanted to win something. And fortunately I cast them, winning not necessarily their biggest thing, but they won there at OJ Pit, and that was the first time Des and I, not the very first time we'd worked together. We'd done some stuff in the UK together, but we were like as a duo for that tournament, and on the back of that we got picked up for it was then SI group stages. 2020 was the first big one, and that was where it really blew up for us, to be honest. We got some really good feedback and responses from our performance at group stages SI 2020 out in Montreal, and that was mind-blowing because I'd already bought tickets. I don't think I can reach it. I've literally down here got, is it that one? It is that one. I don't think I'll be able to get it off there, but I've literally got I've got from one of the years. I keep all my lanyards. I realise you can't see that, but I keep all my lanyards together, and there's one where I've got an elite pass and a staff pass on the same thing, and it's because I'd already bought my ticket. It was I was going in 2020. I'd booked Airbnb. I'd bought the elite ticket and everything. I was going as a fan, and then I turned up there working. It was crazy. It was
now you end up going as a guest.
Absolutely mind blowing. Mind blowing to be stood there on that first day. Me and Des opened the Airstream. I remember at the time we got there, and it was the other casters were Michael and Parker, and Blue and Stokes were the other two pairs that were doing the groups. There was 3 pairs of us doing the groups, and we got there, and they very graciously invited Des and I for a drink in the hotel bar. We'd not worked before, with them or at this level, and they made us feel very, very welcome. But you can imagine, they were like, right, you guys can open the Airstream if you want. It was Na'Vi at the time that we're playing against SSG, and they were like, it's a British team. You've got some UK players on there. You guys take that, open up Airstream. And so it was, I remember standing there in the morning, what is going on? I'm about to open the Airstream. I remember Des's intro. We're about to open the Airstream for SI 2020. This is, something that I'd not even dreamed of, to be honest. Like, I got into casting and gone through it and not even thought, I'll go on and I'll do an SI. Like, I'd never even thought that that'd be a realistic possibility. Let alone going on to do SI Grand Final in 2021 and the other finals that I've done beyond that and everything else. And I've now got the second longest streak of live events as well. There's only Parker that's currently sat with more back-to-back live events than Des and I. So yeah, I don't know, it just kind of all snowballed from there. Like, we did pretty well at SI 2020, and then, I did Brazil in 2021 with Jackie, because Des got offered a few weeks on EU, I got offered some time on Brazil, and then we came back together in EUL in 2021, did stage 1, which was remote, I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying the first stage of 2021 was still remote because of COVID. And then SI was our first in-person event that we were able to do again. It was delayed until the May, and it was in Paris. So we did that there, and that's where through stage 1 we'd kind of been rotating around duos, and just sort of mixing and matching, but then going into SI 21, that's when they locked it in and were like, right, you and Des, you're going to work together for this event. So we did, and then we've not been parted since. So yeah, that's it. Just really snowballed from there. SI 21, we did the grand final, which was mind blowing. Never expected to do an SI grand final, and then just became a regular on EUL. Loved my time that I spent out in Paris, and then obviously, we move on from there into the blast era that we're in now, and still love what I'm doing now. Correct.
Now you did Brazil, right?
Yeah, I covered Brazil in. I did 2 stages of Brazil in 2021. No, 2020 it was. At the end of 2020, Jackie and I did stage 2 and 3 at the end of 2020 for Brazil. Yeah.
But were you at this recent SI Brazil?
Yes, I was, yeah.
What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, it was fantastic. It was brilliant because
that crowd was crazy.
No, it was unreal. It was. I mean, I won't say it was the. I mean, it was the best event we've ever had. I think it was.
I was gonna say, was that your best?
Reasons.
Yeah, I never seen an SI like that. That was like
I'll say, yeah, it was definitely the best event that we've ever had in terms of just the sheer passion and volume of everybody in that arena, and the siege we were spoilt with. The semi-final that Des and I covered of W7M, it was at the time, now Furia, W7M versus Virtus Pro was the semi-final, and we came out of that semi-final and it was such a great game. And I thought, I'm not sure how the final's going to top that. And then W7M Phase said, hold my drink, here I go. And they did top it. And it was an amazing tournament.
And the way W7M won, oh God.
Yeah, unbelievable. And the twin brothers and just everything with it. It was, it was perfect. The reason that I don't hesitate in saying it was our best event, because I think it was. I think it was the best showcase of Siege that we've had. The reason that I hesitate is there's others that, to me personally, are very, very big events for me as well. Like the Berlin Major, particularly. Berlin Major 2022. Des and I did the grand final there. That was the Rogue versus FaZe final. Longest competitive game in Siege history. And it was just an unbelievable game. 4 out of 5 maps went to overtime. They were coming down right to the wire every time. 15 rounds. I think it was 68 rounds overall. It was back and forward. It was literally. I think FaZe won the first map. Rogue won a map. FaZe won a map. Rogue won a. It was just back and forward the whole way through.
That was some really good competition.
Yeah, the crowd was so loud in that theater in Berlin. I think it was, I think Des and I did a really good job of the cast as well. I enjoyed the whole thing. Berlin holds a special place just because of that game. SI21 in Paris was, I think, one of the most beautiful events we've ever done. There was no crowd at that one, and it gave them a bit more flexibility in terms of venue and things, because obviously there was no requirement to worry about having thousands of seats there. So it was done in the old Parisian stock exchange that's no longer used as a stock exchange, but it was just a beautiful old classic European building, and it was all creams and golds. I don't know if you remember it, all white lighting and creams and golds. And then Des and I did the grand final of that one, and so SI21's another one that's like really special to me as well. But yeah, in general Siege terms, Brazil, Sao Paulo was an amazing event, and it was brilliant.
A lot of people were talking about they felt like if it was they were watching a football game.
Yeah,
there
was
like
a
FIFA,
band in there. There was like soccer games and so you'll get like a supporters band will turn up with trumpets and drums and like boom, 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 like all the way through. The Furia band turned up and were there for like the whole weekend. So you go in and it was just like,
you're like, what the world I got
constant. It was constant. There was, honestly, where they got their energy from, I don't know, because it was like 35 degrees C, like probably about 90 Fahrenheit, I think.
Yeah.
It was hot in there. There was people whipping their shirts off,
I saw
them around
that.
their head, and they were like that from the minute they walked in for 8 hours until they left. And I don't know how those fans did it, but they delivered like big time. We've never had a response like that. Manchester was great. Manchester followed it up very well. I'll give the UK crowd their due. Like, that place was loud. There was like 3,500 in there, I think, and they blew the roof off that place in Manchester. But genuinely, that Sao Paulo crowd was just, it was something else.
It's like, wait, is Ronaldinho in there or something?
Yeah, it was crazy. Like, they turned up big time, and it was a real experience. It was very, very special. I put it up there with my words: Paris, Berlin, Sao Paulo.
Right there, yeah,
definitely the most special events I've ever been at.
You felt that SI kind of changed a lot of things. Ubisoft like kind of took things. Okay, wait 1 second, we got to go to a different route now. This is major. I think the viewership went skyrocket high and everything. I was just like,
I think
really,
it was the
really
most,
big.
It was the most viewed SI that we've ever had.
I think even Jinxie was watching it and stuff. I mean,
Jinxie was
really
watching it. I think, there was a few big core streamers who were watching it, and the viewership was fantastic. I think it was.
I'm gonna be honest.
I can't remember the figures. I think it might have been like 500,000 or so. It was pretty serious.
I was talking to several pros that have came on the podcast, and they were talking about UB needs to like probably bring in Jinxie one of these days to an SI and to one of the stage, at least just to appear there and talk a little bit.
Well, it should go to broaden the audience.
Broaden
his
the
involvement,
audience.
even with core streaming, with anything else, and I think that's one of the great things for core streaming in general is it just delivers esports to maybe a different market, because
correct,
like I've said, I've just spoken about my story coming into Siege. I'd never watched esports, I'd never watched competitive gaming, I'd never really been involved, and around that, as I'm getting introduced to Search and Destroy Call of Duty, I start watching Call of Duty esports. I start thinking, this is pretty cool, and then got into Siege esports in a big way on the back of that. But you don't know. There's so many people who maybe don't watch it just because they've never really given it a shot and they don't think it's their thing, but they like watching Jinxie, or they like watching, whoever it might be that they enjoy watching as a streamer, and then they co-stream an event and they go, actually, this is really cool. I'm going to start, watching this for watching it. I think it's a positive way to get into other communities. And
I believe so too, because a lot of these new players that are coming in or joining and playing the game, they don't know about the pros. And then when you go online and you see them on Twitch and see these people playing, you ask them, do you know any pro player? They're like, no, but I know who Jinxie is, or I know who Stompin' is. And I'm like, do you know who Palu is? who's that? I bet Jinxie is better than him. I'm like, no, I don't think so. And then they're like, oh no, he's better. And I'm like, no, this is a pro and he's really, really, really good. So they just don't know. A lot of them don't know. But if I think, in my opinion, if UB was to ever bring him on stage and have him, talk and introduce his viewers, because once he gets online, he's getting 40 to 50 to 60,000 viewers, and say, hey guys, these are the pros here. Let's watch it now together or something. I think it will be really good. I think that will be really, really nice. Introduce this crowd, the young fans are getting into R6, what esports is all about.
Yeah,
because a lot of them, they don't know.
We've seen that with his crossovers as well. I think Jinxie's done a fantastic job with his 1v1s, his
with the
1v1s tournaments,
yeah.
And like saying, I'll 1v1 Bolo, I'll 1v1 Shaiko. We've seen all these big pro names in Siege getting involved, and like you say, I think it's again just great exposure for everybody. To see. I've long term been a believer of, there's many different communities in any game. When you look at Siege, you've got the casual community, you've got the pro community, you've got esports that sits, largely towards the pro side of stuff, and you've got the rank community. You've got all these people that play the game in different ways, and I think the better the interaction and the better the crossover between those communities, generally, the healthier it is for the game, for everybody. And maybe casual players appreciating why is balancing done around pro player, and all these sorts of things, like you say, appreciating all those different angles is super important. And I think stuff like those sorts of crossovers are really good to build that interaction between the groups.
Now, when you got your first call to become a caster, how was that?
Exciting. It's a bit of a weird. It kind of bumbled along a little bit. Like I said, I did the community leagues and things like that. But I remember my first paid job, particularly, was down. It was for ESL Premiership at the time, the UK Premiership. I'm driving down to a place called Leicester in the UK, which is where it was being filmed, and I'd never been in a studio before. I'd literally never done, anything more than just online through, in my bed, spare bedroom. So I'm driving down there, and I was really nervous. I've always said, a saying that I've tried to live by is, if you're not nervous, then you stood on the wrong stage. And obviously, to a degree, nerves do disappear for people.
Yeah.
Without being big-headed, am I nervous going in and casting group stages, at the Manchester Major or at SI in Brazil? No, I'm not anymore. I've done a lot of those games. Am I nervous stepping up to cover a grand final in Manchester? Am I nervous stepping up to do a big semi-final in Sao Paulo? Yeah, there's nerves there, and they should be, because you care. Because I care about doing a good job, because I understand the gravity of the game and how important it is to the fans and the players. And I'm solely responsible. Des and I are solely responsible for the sort of communication of that and that emotion and building that emotion and story. So yeah, absolutely. I still get nervous, but yeah. Going down to that first job, I was, borderline terrified. I was like, somebody's paying me now. This is real now. If I turned up and did a mediocre job and I didn't have the best cast and it wasn't entertaining or whatever. Prior to that, I was doing it voluntarily, and it's kind of like, I still always delivered my best. I always wanted to go and give my everything to it. But I was learning, and if it wasn't perfect, then everybody knew what it was, and it was fine. But yeah, going down there and being paid. Oof, then it puts
a lot of pressure.
It puts a lot of pressure.
Yeah, because it's like, okay, now we're paying you to put out a really good performance, and if you don't, Goodbye.
And it's a big opportunity as well. At the
Correct.
same time, it's like, I'm being paid to deliver this, and also if I do it well, then there might be more to come. I don't know where it's going to lead, and ultimately look at where it's led. I never thought it would. I could never have painted the picture from there to where I am now. But I've now been doing it full time. I've been able for years. I've been able to quit it's what a lot of people dream of. I quit a 9-to-5 job. I used to do a 9-to-5 job, 40 hours a week, and I was able to leave that to do this thing that I'm so passionate about and that I enjoy so much. And I never underestimate how fortunate I am, to be in the position that I'm in. And so it was a big deal at the time to be driving down there, being paid for this, and I'm thinking, what if I don't do? What if I don't deliver? What if I do a rubbish job? Like, what if I'm not good enough for this? And there was a lot of self-doubt going down there. But there comes a point where you've got to brush it off, and you've got to sort of pick yourself up by your braces and say, right, come on, this is what you were dreaming about.
You
doing.
wanted.
This is what you love. You got yourself into this. You better get yourself. You better get yourself out of it. So you go and you deliver the best you can. And that's one thing I would like to, I hope the people that I've worked for would say the same. I hope my reputation is such that I've never given less than 100% to any cast I've been on to. I've always been fully prepared.
What did your wife say to you?
My wife's sick of hearing me, to be honest. Like, all the remote stuff that I do, obviously, like, she's often in the house, and I'm probably quite well known for being quite loud, and I think she gets sick of listening. I'll tell you what, she doesn't get sick of the bills being paid though. So she doesn't complain too much.
Yeah,
but,
she could get to keep her whole check.
Yeah, exactly. So, it was absolutely that first opportunity I got. I was very nervous about it. Yeah, 100%. It was, and again, that happens over. Yes, as time goes on, it's less and less so.
It's less.
Now it's the big games. It's when they come to me and say, right, you're in Manchester, you're at home, can you do the grand final? It's those games. I'm like, right, I've got to deliver for this one. This has got to be a good one.
Yeah.
So I do still definitely have those moments, but. Yeah, there was a scale of like my first job, and then there was like OJ Pitt was my first international job. First time I've been put on a plane, and that was crazy. Somebody's putting me on a plane to take me to another country because they like this thing that I do enough to say, we want you to come and do it here. We want you to, be the voice of this tournament. And things like that are crazy. And then there's the fun things that I get to do that can be really nerve-wracking as well. I don't know if you saw it. Did you see the advert that Des and I did recently for the share skins for the it was played at the Manchester Major, and it was like a Ubisoft thing where we were doing like a tier list of the different skins that had come out, and it was like a bit, and that's completely new to us. It was acting essentially. Like, we turned up, there was a bit of a script, and we went out to Paris, and they were like, right, you're doing this tier list, you're kind of arguing with each other, but then all these other people are going to be chipping in, and there's like a few cameras set up, and like we were having, and so stuff like that you get nervous for as well, because it's like, I've got a day, I'm here for a day to do this, and we've got to get the footage to make a good product for this advertisement. And fortunately I think everybody was really happy with how it turned out. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun, and I think the final product, they did a great job with it. It came across phenomenal. Really funny, and but yeah, stuff like that, you get to do these like really cool little things, but again, still very nerve-wracking.
Yeah,
times when
who told me it was also nerve-wracking too? Gibson Cast.
Yeah.
I had Gibson Cast on the pod. Phenomenal guys, like you, very energetic, really fun. I mean, I would like to see you two one of these days do one. I'm not sure
if I've worked with Gibson. I can't recall. I don't think we've actually done a cast together. We might have done one map somewhere, but no, the opportunity hasn't arisen yet.
Really nice guy as well. I think all casters are nice. I mean, I to be honest, I admired a lot Kickstar. He was the one that actually got me into Rainbow.
Everybody did, definitely.
Yeah, he's the one that got me into Rainbow playing. I mean, me watching him and seeing this talented young man do some amazing things, and then, he went off to casting, and I was like, he's also really good at casting. Phenomenal. So when he teamed up with Parker, that's when everything clicked. Boom. He just went, 100% phenomenal.
Michael and Parker are my voices of Siege. I think everybody's got them. Whereby everybody, like you said, we've got a fantastic talent team. All the casters, they're all very, very good. And I think, naturally people just have their preferences of, maybe what style they enjoy or which voices, which accents or, whatever they enjoy. And I think, for me, sort of particularly coming through and watching esports as a fan, Michael and Parker were always like my voices of Siege. If I imagined a pro game, I heard their voices over the top, and that's I don't think that changes once it's established. I still now, and I've told Parker this, I still now sit at events and I'm sat next to him. I'll take him out a bottle of water to his casting desk and stuff. And and he's like, there's still that weird disconnect sometimes where it's like I'm back watching as a fan again when I hear Parker casting, and I still love to sit and listen to him.
I've invited him on the pod, but he's like really, really super busy and got caught up, and doing so much stuff. So I told him, hey, whenever you have that moment in time, you're more than welcome. Yeah, I like to hear his story as well. I love having casters on. You guys are really, really fun. Kickstar was my main guy. I always, followed him and wherever he was on or whatever tournament he was casting, I'll be watching him because he was really, really talented at it. And then afterwards, unfortunately he passed away. So then you got to go to other ones that you like. And I like when you're on, I love it. When you, Gibson, stuff like that, because you guys put out really fun, exciting, and you make it thrilling. You make it like if it's a roller coaster ride. The other thing what I like about it too, that you're very biased about it. It's very hard to find out which team you're going for.
The honest truth of that is that I don't really support any individual teams. I have teams that I like to see do well. I have teams that I kind of follow, but I don't genuinely support any individual team. What I tend to do is I'm always looking for something to, I've cast hundreds of games of Siege now, and I'm always just looking for something to draw me into the game. So I'm usually just being competitive with myself. So I'll pick something. I think this team will win, or I think this player's going to do really well, or I think whatever it might be for me to focus on in the game and just drive that energy of like I'm like kind of competing with myself. Am I right or am I wrong? And but yeah, in terms of like actually supporting and backing individual teams, I don't really mind who wins. I like to see it. I like to see it rotate around the regions. I like to see. I don't like to see the same. Brazil winning all the time or North America winning all the time. I like to see it rotate around so that all the different fans, because I know like people might be G2 fans, but when G2 go out, those fans inevitably then want an EU team. And I think from what I see, people back the regions more than the teams sometimes because they just want their region to win. So I like to see it rotate around so everybody's getting their moment of being able to, celebrate their team winning or their region winning. Definitely, I like to see that. So I'll kind of just back whoever fits that bill a lot of the time. The way that I've always tried to look at it for casting is I want it to feel like you and I are sat on the sofa, I'm shaking your arm, I'm just your friend who's sat watching with you, and I'm shaking your arm and I'm dragging you into this game. I'm saying, have you seen this? This is amazing. Oh, just watch this replay. Watch. Oh, I love it. Oh, what? And that moment that you have with friends, sat at home watching something like that. And that's what I want to try and replicate for you.
Yeah.
Because I've always said the same. If I can, raise people's emotions, whether that be happiness, laughing, whether that be a bit of sadness, whether, whatever that might be, that's, for me, always going to be the strongest reaction that I can get from people, rather than just, I can deliver the information about the game. I can tell you why that team are doing that. And it's important that I do those things. But I think, the casts where I've, felt that I've really taken it to a next level is when I've been able to really, tap into some emotion around it and to be able to, so in order to, I think, promote and sort of engage that emotion in others, you've got to be genuinely feeling it yourself. So you better believe that when I'm up there and I'm bouncing about and I'm excited, it is genuinely just for the love of the game, because it's
that's a good thing.
If I was at home, I'd be sat screaming the same things. That's what's always come to me in my, sort of naturally in my casting is I'd be sat screaming and shouting the same things if I was sat at home on the sofa, and I'd be shaking your arm and saying, "Oh, like, this is unbelievable." And I think, hopefully that's always come across in like a genuine way, and I think that's been.
So you saw that kill. Yeah, look at that. That's amazing.
I just want people to love Siege as much as I do. I just want people to love Siege as much as I do, and to enjoy watching it, and to feel that emotion and that passion as much as I do. And that's the best way I know to deliver those games.
Yeah, I mean, the way you put it out is phenomenal. I like it that you're very biased. You don't choose a team. A lot of fans and people that are in chat watching, they pick it up really quick when there's a caster just going towards another team and hating on another team, and they pick it up really quick. They're like, "Oh, this guy can't stand him. He wants this team to win, doesn't like anything this other team is doing." And they'll just flip. "Hey, I'm going to go to watch this other, channel that's broadcasting, a match that's in NA or whatever." So they pick it up really quick. But when there's casters like yourself that are very biased, they root for all the teams. They don't care. They don't have a favorite. Then that's the good thing. I get the question. I get questioned a lot. Well, who's your favorite team? I said, listen, I like all teams, and I have my players that that I like a lot. But since I made so much friends, I don't want to choose a team, because I don't want to let nobody down. And then two, it'll be kind of like unfair on my behalf to me to choose one team over another. And so I gotta, make sure that I, be neutral. So I say, I got my favorite player that I really like on G2, which is Doki. Doki is really nice. Him and I, we DM each other back and forth. And on, NA, I like, Richie from Sonics. Him and I, we have a really close friendship, And then I got some other friends as well. So I just say, listen, I love all teams. I love all players. But there's ones that I'm really friends with, but I'm in favor of all. I can't.
It's the best way to enjoy it as well, because then you've got so many things to celebrate. It's like, I like you say, I don't really have any affiliate. I don't really worry about who's winning, who's losing. So I can watch the Manchester Major and I can just get excited about Beast Coast winning because their story has been amazing. So
the Cinderella story.
Exactly. It's because I'm not. Because I keep myself from being, too invested in anything specifically. It is nice, like you say, to see those individual stories, those individual player arcs, all those things. But I'm happy no matter who it is. I'm just grateful that we've got another fantastic story in Siege. I support Siege. There we go. I want Siege to win.
Likewise with me, I support Siege 100%. And yes, my podcast does other gamings like Counter-Strike. I brought players from pro players, Counter-Strike players, Rocket League and stuff like that. My podcast is more broader. I do other content creators and other pros. I don't stick to one game only, but hey, it is what it is. Whoever could come on will come on, and that's the fun part, because I bring everybody. I bring anybody from any type of game. Doesn't matter. But listen, Ace, I know time of the essence, and to make this happen, we had to squeeze an hour. And my podcasts usually run for an hour and a half to 2 hours, is a little bit longer. So I know I had to put on hold a lot of questions and a lot of topics I wanted to talk with you. But the good news is this is not the first nor the last time I'm going to bring you on.
I'm more than happy to come back and have.
Oh, amen. Thank you so much. Because a lot of people ask, well, how's your podcast? Well, it's a little bit more like a Joe Rogan, laid back style, drinking coffee, sit back, let's talk about life, have some fun with it. But I want to bring you back on later on, because I know this was a moment that I didn't want to lose, and an hour was an hour, and I truly appreciate this. I give everybody a minute on stage. Tell everybody your socials, how to reach you, where to find you, Twitter, Twitch. The stage is yours.
Yeah, I'm a pretty simple guy. AceOfPyrite everywhere. Your main places to find me are on Twitter, or X as it's now called. I'm on there quite a bit, and then as you've said, the stream, it's always nice to see people in there. We've got a super positive community. My mods have got about the easiest job in streaming. I think there's never anything there's never any issues in the chat. There's never any issues. Everybody just likes to come and laugh at an old man not being very good at games mostly. So but yeah, it's always a pleasure to have new names, and people are really welcomed in there, by all the regulars and everything else. So over on Twitch, AceOfPyrite, it'd be wonderful to see everybody. But that's about it.
Okay, thank you so much, Ace, for the opportunity to come on.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. It's always a pleasure.
It was phenomenal. Thank you so much. Okay, folks, there you have it. Please follow the man on Twitter. Follow him on Twitch. He is phenomenal. The energy you're feeling in here is the same energy he gives out when he's streaming. Okay, well, folks, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. Till next time, God bless. Peace.
Thanks for listening to this episode on the Esports Lounge podcast, bringing you the best conversation from the world of esports. Make sure you like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so that you never miss an episode. Till next time, peace.